think we've had our few days of summer and now classic British weather has set in. Fingers crossed it's not like this next weekend at 70.3 Swansea, but we shall see. That could make things quite interesting. Anyway, we are a week away. We are going to be entering race week tomorrow. That'll be my next video and I'm really looking forward to it. Today I've got, well, what looks to be a rather wet and miserable tempo run to do. The last kind of longer session, I guess, ahead of next weekend. Really looking forward to some confidence-inducing numbers. So let's crack on with that and crack on with the day. Windy, muggy, warm. Did I say windy? Probably best describes the weather that we're experiencing at the minute, so it should be interesting to keep on top of the paces, but I'm going to try my best. 8k total worth of effort today, so not a crazy amount, but really just tapping into specific 70.3 pace ahead of next weekend, getting the body ticked over. So this 8k worth of effort is split up into sections of 2k, and then between each 2k section I've got a bit of jog recovery, but the jog recovery is more of a float rather than a complete recovery. Still trying to keep a little bit of pace there. Very much tapping into more of an effort rather than pace today on those 2k sections because it's so windy. So I've been a little bit put off by the pace, but the effort is there and that's all that matters. So this recovery section here is 1.2k float, and then I'll do the next 2k and I'll reduce the float by 400 meters, so it'll be 800, and then after the next one I'll reduce it by another 400 to be 400 meters float between the next 2k. And it's just keeping the pace in the legs, but making sure that tempo 70.3 pace slash effort is still there. Now with 70.3 Swansea in mind for next weekend, there is one thing, or there's a few things I'm going to be changing on my bike, and I will actually be doing a dedicated video for that, kind of a bike prep or race prep video for the bike, something like that. As you can tell, I haven't figured out the name of it yet. But one thing I wanted to talk about in this video is one of the main things that I am considering, or that I'm doing, and that I think you should strongly consider if you are doing 70.3 Swansea. I have mentioned the course is bumpy. I mean, that's probably the nicest way to put it. It's pretty rough. Some of you who have done it, let me know what you thought of it in the comments section below if you've done a recce. For those of you that haven't done a recce, it is a rough course. I will be totally honest with you. I'm not trying to scare anyone. I'm not trying to put anyone off. But the road surfaces are not brilliant. And there are a number of things that you might need to consider. First of all, I have had some people ask me, you know, should I TT bike it? Should I road bike it? Look, ultimately, if you're out to get the fastest time possible and you want to place well in your age group or get the fastest time for you, then a TT bike is going to be quicker. However, if you are just interested in getting round, completing it, and you want to be as comfortable as you possibly can, I would strongly consider a road bike, just because on those really steep descents, it is going to be far more comfortable, especially if you've got slightly wider tyres on your road bike or if you've got disc brakes. That will be a dream come true, because it is... I don't want to slag off the course because I think it's going to be really interesting and it's going to be good fun, but it's just something to consider and I don't want to put anyone off. Now, the thing that I want to talk about in this video is bottle rockets. Now, for those of you that don't know, bottle rocket basically is your bottle sitting in one of your bottle cages, you hit a bump and boom, it flies out. Now, this is not brilliant for a number of reasons. The main reason is you lose whatever's in your bottle, whether that's hydration, whether that's nutrition, whether it's just water. It's also not brilliant for the people behind you because if they hit a bottle, they could crash and that would not be very good. So it's not a good thing whatsoever. Now, there are a few things that you can do to make sure that you minimize that possibility as much as possible, and I'm going to talk about that today. The reason why I want to talk about it is because during the course recce, my bottle on the back of my seat, so just here, the bottle was in this cage. My bottle came out not once, but twice, and it wasn't very good. And if that happens on a course recce when I'm not absolutely hammering it, I can imagine it's definitely going to happen on the race day when I am trying to hammer it. So there's a few things that I'm going to do. Number one, every single bottle cage, no matter how good it is going to lose its tension over time. The bottle cage that I've got on the back here is slightly older, so I've gone and bought another one. I have got the same Gorilla cage. These are the shit. They are so good. Unfortunately, along with how good they are, comes an equally impressive price tag. This, I managed to find a deal, and I will link in the description below some of the best deals that I can possibly find. I think I got this from Pro Bike Kit, but I will link to some below if that's something you're interested in. These are incredibly grippy, and they cost, I think without a discount, normally like kind of 50, 60 quid, which is outrageous. However, I do believe if it's going to mean that you keep hold of your nutrition, your hydration, it is very much worth it. So I've gone and I've bought another one because this is going to be a lot tighter than the existing one that I've got on there. As you'll see, I've also got one between the bars. The reason why I'm not changing this one is for a few reasons. Number one, I didn't want to buy another bottle cage because that would mean I'd spend like 100 quid on bottle cages, which is just ridiculous. I don't really want to do that. Number two, this bottle cage is slightly newer, slightly fresher, so it's still got a little bit more tension than the one behind. And number three is because it's between the bars, it's at a slightly different angle, it's actually more difficult for this one to come out, and I can spot it far easier. So if I spot it sliding forward, I can just push it back in, whereas this one I can't actually see, so I want to make sure it is as tight as possible, and that's why I'm replacing it. So let's get on and do that. However, if you are someone who doesn't really fancy spending 50, 60 quid on a bottle cage, rightfully so, because that is an outrageous price, I will also be talking about some other tricks and tips that you can do to minimize the possibility of your bottles popping out on race day. So stay tuned. With that done, there are still, like I mentioned, some things that you can do if you'd rather not spend all that money on a bottle cage, but also some things that, having spent money on a really good bottle cage, I am still probably going to do just to maximize the chances of keeping those bottles in, because I keep all of my electrolytes in my bottle cage at the back, the big litre one here, and I really do not want to be losing that, so I'm going to maximize the chances of keeping it as much as I possibly can. So here we go. Number one, what you can do is use elastic bands. Now you might have loads of these like I've got saved up, because you keep your shoes clipped in and you keep elastic bands on them to keep them flat for a flying mount, which I don't do anyway, but there you go. So what you can do, tie an elastic band around your bottle and loop it around the bottom of your bottle cage. What that will do is just add that extra bit of tension on there to mean it doesn't pop out. So as you can see, I've got this band attached here, loops under there. I can also do the same on the front here, loop the band around and around that front bottle. And what this does is it means that it's actually hard to get the bottle out because of the added tension of that elastic band. Now what you can do when you go around to grab it is you can either pull it out and completely snap off that band, which means you don't have it anymore, but then after taking a few glugs of this, the reduced weight will mean there's less chance for that bottle to pop out. The chances of a bottle to pop out are higher when the bottle weighs more and there's more in there, because it means there's more force ejecting it out. So what you can do is keep the elastic bands on, like I said, pull it out, snap that band off, take quite a few glugs and then put it back in, and then there's less chance for it to pop out. Or what you can do is, if you'd rather keep that elastic band, is this, remember this is behind you, you can't see this, so you're gonna have to feel for it, pull that down, keep that there, pull the bottle out, take a couple of swigs, pop it back in and then feel for that elastic band, which is going to be incredibly difficult with it being behind you, and put it back on like that. With the one in front of you, it's going to be a lot easier. With the one behind you, obviously, it's going to be a lot harder. It depends whether your bike handling skills will allow it and your patience of trying to find that band. What you could do also, as you can see, the band is along here. You could actually place a few bands along there, just in case one of them snaps, and you want to make sure that you've got one that you can then push up and move around and just have that added security. Depends whether you can be bothered or not. Option number 2 is to make your bottle slightly wider, or to try and make your bottle slightly wider, trying to source a slightly wider bottle. The way you can do this with your existing bottles is just to tie some electrical tape around where the bottle is going to be held in the bottle cage. That will in essence make your bottle slightly fatter, which will make it harder, yes, to get out and harder to get to your fluid, but it will also make it harder for the bottle to eject. So it could be worth doing. Get your hands on some electrical tape. This stuff's like a couple of quid. It shouldn't be too much hassle to get your hands on. Number 3 is to add some sort of grippy substance. That sounds really weird. Something grippy to the inside of the bottle cage. I have got this skateboard grip tape. It's in essence, it's sandpaper. You can buy this for literally like, I think I got this for £1.50, something like that. So you could either spend 50 quid on a new bottle cage, or you could use something like that. You can then peel some off and stick it to the inside of the rails of your bottle cage. Depending on whether you have one like this or not, there will be a few rails, there'll be one rail, there'll be something that you can do. You could actually also attach strips to your bottle of this sandpaper type substance. That in essence then is going to add loads of grip to the side of your bottle or the inside of your bottle cage. Now, one thing to mention is if you do attach this to the inside of your bottle cage, it is going to chew up your bottle like there is no tomorrow. It is absolutely fine for one race. I wouldn't worry at all. Maybe even a little bit longer than one race, but do keep in mind it is going to chew up the plastic on your bottle, and it's going to make your bottles look pretty disgusting. So if you're a fan of your bottles, or if you don't want to be replacing your bottles all the time, maybe not the best option. But if you do want to maximize the opportunity of keeping hold of your bottles during the race, then it's another good option. So there you have it. This will be the thing I'd go with, is the bottle cages and the elastic band. If I feel I need to, I will add some electrical tape around the bottle, maybe around this section around here, just where the cage is holding onto it. It's, you know what, with that new bottle, it's not too bad, but having seen the course, it's very bumpy. And so this will be, this will be the option that I go with on race day. And I think that should be absolutely fine. So there you are, guys. Those are my top tips for keeping your bottles in during a race, or just during training, just during riding. Let me know if you've got anything else, any other tips in the comment section below, anything you're doing. Let me know if you're doing Swansea as well. Fingers crossed these tips or tricks have somewhat helped. I would definitely recommend thinking, if you are doing 70.3 Swansea, thinking of having another way of just adding a little bit more tension to those bottles, because there's chances that there are going to be quite a few bottle rockets. I don't want to put anyone off, but control the controllables, control what you can control, and do as much as you possibly can to make sure you can hold on to those bottles as much as possible. So yeah, I hope that's been somewhat helpful. There's no reason for you to go out and spend a crazy amount of money on bottle cages. There's loads of things you can do, as I've just mentioned, that you can bodge it a little bit and add a little bit more tension. If you are interested though in getting some more Gorilla cage bottles, which are the best ones out there, then I will link to a few in the description below that I've found to be the best prices out there as of the time of this video. So I hope that's been helpful. I hope to see a lot of you there on race day. And the next video is going to be race week video, just the whole week. Looking forward to documenting that, and I will see you guys then.